Hello and welcome to my video presentation. You might notice, or you might not notice, that I am dressed a little differently today. This is because I am dressed as the portrait of the modern woman taken in 1896. It is hard to explain just how hot this outfit is. So aside from the Kangol hat, which was common for riding at the time, I have my flowy sleeves, which were, I'd like them to be a little flowier. There is an undershirt portion of this, just to stay decent, because it was very improper for many women at the time to dress and show any skin pretty much at all. This skirt came straight from that time period. It is an antique, and my grandmother found it while she was digging through some of her old antique stuff. Underneath, though, we have a little makeshift petticoat, if I can separate it, and some bloomers, which were also pretty common at the time, as well as some stockings and some heels. This outfit is very hot and provided very little range of motion, but I will be giving the rest of this presentation in this outfit to be a testament of what women went through during this time. So my research begins about 200 years ago in the Victorian era. A lot of people think that it was very dark colors at the time because the streets of London were very dirty. And that is true. A lot of rich people really only wore color at the time because it was really only made out of slug mucus, I believe. But after a chemistry experiment gone wrong, a man accidentally discovered mauveine, which was made from coal tar, and created a very, very vibrant shade of synthetic purple. And then after this was discovered, German and English massive companies rushed to create other colors out of that same coal tar. We can move forward and across the pond a little bit to the Gilded Age, where women's suffrage saw another step of improvement in the form of bicycles. So a lot of women wore sportswear at the time, which was not your typical Lululemon or Nike or Adidas, but it was the birth of pants, actually. They were highly controversial. Not a lot of women wore them. But if you can imagine waffle pants that are very popular right now, where they're wide and very, very flowy, that was essentially what some women who were especially outgoing would wear. A lot of other women would put pleats in the back of their skirts so that they could ride around, or just hike up the skirts altogether. The self-portrait as the new woman also came out during this time. We can skip ahead to the 1910s and 1920s, where World War I was raging on, and women went to work on the home front while men went off to war. So women would wear men's clothes so that they could work without being a hazard to themselves, essentially, because this outfit, I can tell you, would kill anybody if they had to work in a hot factory for 8 hours. There was also, in the 20s, the Roaring 20s, the flapper era. We'd just won the war, and a lot of people were booming economically, so people could go out and party. Flapper dresses, as opposed to what Hollywood would have you believe, tended to be more flowy and fall just below the knees. That was still very scandalous at the time, though. So women were hiking up their hemlines, and the economy was booming. In the 1930s, though, we see them go back down, kind of mirroring the Gilded Age outfit, just because of the Great Depression. And so there was less time to party and less time overall. We see another massive change in the 1960s and 1970s, where hippies were wearing loose cotton, and in the 70s we see the resurgence of pantsuits because women were doing more traditionally masculine jobs. This was also characterized by second wave feminism. At the time, there were a lot of marches that were encouraging women to have the same rights as men. Athletic wear, as we know it, was also seeing its rise at this time because the birth of jazzercise was actually in the 1970s, even though a lot of people assume it to be very 1980s. And the last major fashion change that I will probably mention here today is the fashion change that came with the birth of the internet in the aughts. This gave rise to a lot of micro trends because before that it would take decades for things to go in and out of style. Now it really, really doesn't. The trends that we see in even 2020 or 2023, very different than the trends that we're seeing today. It's also given rise to a lot of alternative styles, which, like, you know, punk and goth and alt in general, a lot of women and people of all genders really could find themselves all across the world, which gave voice to a lot of different styles. This also got rid of catalogs for a lot of businesses because it didn't make sense to send out paper catalogs if a lot of people were going to be on the internet and buying clothes. I hope you enjoyed this comprehensive view of feminism as it pertains to fashion and fashion as it pertains to women's rights. And I will see you on the flip side.